Welcome to a really special video. We've got three great announcements. The first one is that we finally reached 600 videos.
Yay!
Isn't that great?
That's great, Grandpa. Congratulations.
Do you think we'll make 1,000?
Maybe one day.
And how do we get to 1,000?
We gotta keep working.
We have to keep working, but we need encouragement. So you have to hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell so you get notified, and copy a link and send it to your friends so they can watch too. Thanks everyone for making this channel possible. Now we have another announcement, but I forget what it is.
200,000 subscribers,
Oh, yeah.
Grandpa! Come on. This is big!
You're right. 200,000 subscribers.
Yep.
But the most important announcement is that this is the first video I'm doing with my new assistant. She's my granddaughter, and her and the rest of her family actually live in the garden here now. And I've been demoted to head gardener. I live a little ways from here, but I come here a lot and I still take care of the garden. If you watched any of the videos this summer, Isabel's been helping me behind the scenes, so you can enjoy some of her work. But today, she's live.
Hi, everyone!
Now, we have one other really special announcement. I just found out that Isabel's friend, Kiva, has a granny, and she's been watching my videos. She's one of my fans. So for you, we have a special gift. What is it?
2 signed copies of the Garden Myth book from my grandpa that he wrote himself.
And the rest of you can get those from Amazon.
Yep.
All right, I had this great video planned about watering the garden. And what do you do when it doesn't rain and it's really dry? Like it's been around here most of July and the first half of August. Then nature came along and spoiled it all for me. So we were out here a couple weeks ago and we were going to do this video and we had technical difficulties and couldn't do it. And before we could get back here, it rained. So we had 4 or 5 weeks with no rain whatsoever. Then the rain came and spoiled the video fun. Anyways, this all started about 2 weeks ago when I had a bus tour come through here to see the garden. It was a Hort Society. And we got talking about the garden and it looked really quite good. And they asked me, well, how do you water such a large garden? I mean, this is a 6-acre property, and we have over an acre of flower beds around the house. We grow 3,000 different kinds of plants here. How do I water all that? Well, the answer is really simple. How do we water it?
We don't.
We don't. We don't have time to water this much property. People couldn't believe it, so we started talking about watering plants and so on. I thought, this is a great video, because a lot of people don't really understand how and when to water. Almost everyone in the tour has been watering every couple days, and they go around by hand and water their garden. That's a really bad idea. So let's have a look at watering. Let's understand what happens to the plants, and then I'll tell you exactly how I take care of this place. Well, let's start with a couple plants. Behind us here we have 2 different hydrangeas. We have the climbing hydrangea and then we have a paniculata hydrangea. Now a lot of people think these hydrangeas need to be watered a lot because of the word hydra in them. But that's not true. Do you remember what hydra means in hydrangea?
No.
You don't?
Sorry.
But I told you a couple weeks ago. Well, it turns out the word hydra doesn't mean water me. Hydra is the name of the shape of the seed pod. It looks like a hydra, which is a vessel used for carrying water. And I think it's an old Roman term. These plants don't need any more water than anything else in the garden. If we're going around the garden and looking at plants, how can we tell if they need to be watered? What happens to them?
If plants need to be watered, they will change colors and the leaves and flowers will become limp.
Yeah, the leaves go limp. Do you know why that is?
The water that the plant sucks up through its roots creates pressure in the leaves, holding them up properly.
That's right. And when the leaves don't have enough water, they go limp. There's actually holes in the leaves called stomata, and the plants lose water through those. And if the roots can't keep up with enough water, they go limp. When the soil gets really dry, that's what happens. They go limp. And you can walk around your garden and you can see which plants are the sensitive ones just by looking at them. Now, the problem with this is that a lot of people think that limp leaves means water me, and that's a mistake. There are plants in the garden that go limp every afternoon in the summer because it's just too hot. The root system is too small to keep the plant hydrated, to keep enough pressure in the leaves, and so they go limp. Ligularia is a good example of that. I have several of those, and I've tried growing them all over the place, in shade, in sun, in a bog, and next to the pond. Doesn't matter. In the summertime, middle afternoon, the leaves go limp. They don't need to be watered. They've got lots of water. It's just the nature of the plant. The other situation we have is that if we water too much, we actually kill the roots. So now the plant doesn't have any roots, and the leaves go limp. And people look at it and say, well, I have limp leaves, so I have to water this thing. But it may mean that you've overwatered it. Now, that's not a big problem in most gardens, but it is a problem with houseplants. Many houseplants are killed because they're overwatered. People look at them and think, I have to water some more, and they keep pouring the water on. That extra water is killing the roots. You get less and less roots. Sooner or later, the plant dies.
What is this plant, Grandpa?
This is a Rodgersia. These are one of these indicator plants of your moisture level. These plants need to be moist. If not, they show you that. If we look at this plant, we can see some brown edges, but not a lot. Remember, it's late August now, and the plant's starting to be finished. It's Rodgersia pagode. It has beautiful white flowers. In the middle of summer when I have a garden tour, this is always a star in the garden. It is a nice large plant, but it's really one that you should try to get. This plant has been here for about 20 years. It's never been watered, except when it was first planted. Now, everything I'm going to tell you about in this video about watering applies to established plants. When you put a new plant in, you do have to water it. And I usually water it for a couple months. After that, it's on its own. So after 20 years, it's never been watered. Now, it turns out that this is the north side of the house. So this gets light early in the morning and late at night. But for most of the day, it's shady. So this area doesn't dry out very much. So that's helping it. This plant does pretty good. Let's have a look at a different Rodgersia, which is having a bigger problem. Here's another Rodgersia, and it's never done as well as the other one, and there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, it's a different cultivar, so that could explain the difference. But the real reason is the site it's on. This is quite sunny in the middle of the day. It's hotter here, it's sunnier here, and Rodgersias really don't like that. If we have a close-up look of these leaves, you'll see a lot of brown edges. And what does that tell us?
It is dehydrated and suffering.
So if this plant had been watered more, it wouldn't look like this. It would have green leaves. So I have a couple options here. I can start watering this thing on a regular basis, and that would solve the problem. Or, what else could we do with this plant?
You could move it.
That's pretty smart. I could move it, and that's really the best solution. If I take this plant and put it in a shadier spot, it wouldn't have this problem. I just haven't got around to it. Right beside the Rodgersia, we have a hosta, and it also has brown edges. And the reasoning here is the same. Now, you've probably heard that hostas can grow in sun, and that's sort of true. And in fact, in nature, these plants grow in full sun, but they grow right beside the river, so their roots are really wet. Then we bring them into our gardens, and we promote them as being great for shady, dry spots. They grow all right there, but that's not their favorite spot. If you give hostas lots of sun, you also have to give them lots of water. So here's one more Rodgersia we're going to have a look at. So describe this one.
It looks pretty green. It looks like it's thriving over here.
It's doing really well. This is a really great one because it has nice red flowers. So why is this one so green?
It's probably getting enough water.
Yes.
And it's in a sunspot that it likes.
And what's special about this spot?
There's shade.
Lots of shade. We've got the house over here. Right above us here we have a big red bud. So it doesn't get much light. And it doesn't get a lot of the heat that the other plant is getting. And it's a different cultivar. And I think this one is a little tougher than the last one we looked at. And so this one is doing quite well. But this spot right here is much better for plants that are a little sensitive to water. So right behind us we have the waterfall. It's got a couple ponds coming down. The water trickles through them. This would be a great place to put a plant that likes lots of moisture. Would you agree?
No, Grandpa! This is a man-made pond with lining, and the plant roots can't get to the water.
This is a very common mistake. I see lots of advice online that says, take your plants and put them beside the pond. Well, that doesn't work in most cases because gardeners are using artificial ponds. They have liners in them, and the soil around the pond is actually really dry. What do you think of her hat? It's not red, but it's almost as good as my hat.
You gotta get me a red one, Grandpa, for my
do?
birthday.
Okay, we'll work on that. Behind us here, you'll see another one of my hydrangeas. This one is Limelight, and it's one of my favorite. It flowers a little later in the season, comes out in this kind of a white chartreuse color, and it's going to bloom now for many weeks. It gets watered just like everything else in the garden. We haven't watered anything in this garden for the last 5 years, except of course new planting. About 5 or 6 years ago, we had a really heavy drought. Didn't rain for 6 weeks straight. And once we hit the 4 or 5 week mark, I start getting a little concerned and I'll start watering. When we have that kind of a dry spell, some spots in the garden get watered once. I usually start with the shady garden because those plants are more sensitive. The plants up on the hill, they don't get watered at all because I don't really have a great system for watering them there. How can I get away with that when everybody else is watering every 2 or 3 days? The secret is to grow the plants properly. Plants like to be ignored as long as you do it the right way. I keep the soil dry. That forces the plants to grow deep roots. Once the plant has deep roots, it can survive a lot longer when we have a drought period.
Why do other people have shallow roots?
They water too often. If you take your hose and sprinkle the ground and you only water the top half inch of soil, that's where the roots will be. If you do that once or twice a week, you're only wetting the surface and you're forcing all the roots to grow there. When you stop watering, the roots start going deeper looking for water. When I water here, I usually set up the sprinklers in a spot and I water for at least 12 hours, sometimes 24 hours straight in that one spot. You have to water so that the water goes really deep in the soil. The next time you decide to water, go out in your garden, finish your watering, take a trowel and dig down to see how deep did that water get. Ideally, you want to be down 3-4 inches, and I'll bet you barely make half an inch. When you water a lot, and only in one spot. Keep watering there. Get the water really deep in the soil. Then tomorrow, you water a different spot, really deep. And the only way to do that is to water a long time, and you can't do that by holding the hose. Nobody has enough patience to do that. If you're grabbing your hose and going from plant to plant and sprinkling it around like this, it's almost useless. But even worse than that, you're training the plant to have shallow roots. So the minute you have a drought, they start to suffer. My plants all have deep roots. They know how to get through a drought. Now I do a couple other things which are also important. One is, I don't mind if my plants show a bit of drought stress. It makes them tougher. Now not every plant survives in my garden this way. They can't all take that. So some plants die. But the ones that remain, they're tougher plants. I might also move them into spots that are more suitable for the plant. And the last thing I do, and I've always done this, I mulch with wood chips. 2 to 3 inches of wood chips. That keeps moisture in the ground. It adds organic matter slowly, but it means I have to water a lot less. So always mulch and learn to water properly. Anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you, Grandpa, for having me on your lovely video. It was so much fun learning about all the plants.
It was great having you. Hopefully, you'll do another 1,000 videos.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, goodness. That's a lot of videos.
Yep. Like a 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Happy gardening. Grandpa.
Do it again.
3, 2, 1.
Happy gardening.
Beautiful.